Hello and welcome. I'm a hotel AI expert, and I'm really pleased to welcome all of you, the students of Europe Hotel School, to your online learning journey. In any great hotel, there's this kind of seamless magic that guests get to experience. But behind the curtain, that magic is actually the result of a precise, high-stakes partnership. Today, we're going to pull that curtain back and focus on one of the most fundamental, yet often unseen relationships in the entire operation.
You know, everything a guest sees, feels, and touches is the result of a really complex operation happening just out of sight. And achieving that seamless experience, well, that's the ultimate goal, but it demands an incredible amount of coordination. So today, we're going to break down exactly how that's done.
At the very heart of this operational engine are two departments that, on the surface, might seem totally distinct, but in reality are completely intertwined: food and beverage and housekeeping. Their collaboration isn't just a nice-to-have, it's the absolute foundation of a hotel's success. So let's see how this engine really works.
Let's be really clear about this. The relationship between F&B and housekeeping isn't optional. It is a non-negotiable partnership. This collaboration can't just be left to chance, hoping people will figure it out. It has to be designed, it has to be documented through clear standard operating procedures or SOPs, and ideally, this is all done before the hotel even opens its doors.
So on the surface, their roles seem pretty separate, right? F&B, well, they manage the entire culinary experience, everything from the restaurants and bars to room service inventory. Meanwhile, housekeeping is the guardian of the hotel's physical environment. They make sure every single room, corridor, and public space meets the highest standards for cleanliness and hygiene. They each command their own domain.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because despite those distinct primary functions, their duties are constantly intersecting in the most visible, high-impact areas of the hotel. It's right there, in these zones of overlap, where operational excellence is either achieved or where it can fail spectacularly.
Okay, so let's move into our first shared territory and see how this actually works. We're going to start with probably the most visible point of collaboration, the cleanliness of your hotel's public areas. I mean, this is where a guest's first impression is formed, right?
Just think about it for a second. From the moment a guest walks into the lobby, or uses a public restroom, or walks down a corridor on their way to the restaurant, they are forming an impression. Every single one of these shared spaces reflects directly on the hotel's brand, so the responsibility for them has to be shared, and it has to be crystal clear.
So, how do you prevent total chaos? I mean, you can't have housekeeping trying to vacuum a carpet while the F&B team is doing dinner prep. It just doesn't work. Success requires really precise scheduling. As you can see here, the F&B team might handle cleaning their own floors after closing, while housekeeping comes in to do the deep cleaning and carpet care before service even begins the next day. This level of coordination, it's everything.
And you know, in a modern hotel, this doesn't happen with sticky notes and phone calls. To make this work in real time, a shared digital task management system is absolutely essential. A waiter spots a scuff mark in the lobby, they log it. A housekeeper sees a flickering light in the bar, they log it. This creates this seamless loop of communication, and really importantly, accountability. All right, now let's dig into what is maybe the most critical and, for sure, the most time-sensitive handoff between these two departments, the management of room service. This is one of those areas where even a tiny breakdown in the process can lead to a major guest complaint. I want you to really consider this question. What's the impact of a single tray just left in a hallway? Well, it creates visual clutter, right? There are potential odors, and honestly, it just gives the impression of a poorly managed hotel. This is exactly the kind of small detail that ends up in a negative online review, dragging down ratings and the whole perception of luxury.
Because the stakes are so high, the protocol for this has to be incredibly strict, and it's got to be followed without any deviation. The process is a really clear chain of command. First, F&B delivers and educates the guest on what to do. The guest then requests the pickup. F&B must then retrieve it, and, this is the crucial part, if F&B fails, there's an escalation path that goes directly to housekeeping.
And the pressure is definitely on. The Standard Service Level Agreement, or SLA, for retrieving one of these trays is typically just 15 to 20 minutes from the moment the guest makes the call. This is not a task that can be put off until later. It requires immediate action from the F&B team.
So the crucial point here is what happens when that SLA is missed. Housekeeping is authorized to step in. They don't just walk past the tray and ignore it, they take ownership of the problem. They'll move the tray to a concealed holding area and log its location in that shared digital system we talked about. That triggers an alert for the F&B team to follow up. Housekeeping basically acts as the essential safety net.
Now this partnership, it extends from these grand public spaces right down to the smallest details inside the guest room itself, especially with revenue-generating assets like the minibar. Mismanagement here doesn't just look bad, it literally costs the hotel money.
So here's how that division of labor works perfectly. F&B owns the product. They control all the inventory and the restocking. But it's housekeeping, the team that's in the room every single day who can best verify what's been consumed and, crucially, log those charges accurately into the hotel system. It just makes sense.
But just having a clear process written down on paper isn't enough. You can't expect a room attendant to post charges accurately if they don't understand the product codes or how the billing system works. This is where cross-functional training becomes absolutely essential. Housekeeping needs to understand a piece of F&B's world, and F&B needs to understand a piece of theirs.
So let's bring all of these operational details together and think about what this means for you, as the future leaders of this industry. Your job isn't just going to be managing one department, it's going to be designing the systems where multiple departments can succeed together.
And we come right back to our core principle. This isn't about hoping people get along. It's about engineering success. That seamless guest experience is a direct result of this codified, non-negotiable partnership that you, as leaders, are going to be responsible for creating and, just as importantly, upholding.
So this gives you a clear blueprint for action. First, define ownership for every single shared space. Second, set strict, time-based rules like SLAs. Use technology to keep everyone connected and in the loop. Invest in cross-training your teams. And finally, document absolutely everything in your SOPs. This is how you build and engineer operational excellence. And I'll leave you with this final thought. We've talked about the systems at work today, but what about tomorrow? How might AI-powered sensors in minibars or automated cleaning robots in lobbies change this partnership? The fundamental need for collaboration will always be there, but the tools you use to achieve it are going to evolve. That is the challenge, and honestly, the opportunity that's waiting for you.